Hi, TLC RAs. This is the first part of your online training. So we're just going to go through a few things that are just basic about the theme living communities, and then the second part is an article and a Prezi about a student development theory that I want you to focus on, and then we'll do some discussion board items to help guide how our year is going to go. So in this particular presentation, you'll learn about the history and intention of the TLC communities, and you'll also learn about your role and how to best support your students. So here we go. All right, so the theme communities began in Hofstra 5 years ago, and they started out as themed housing communities, and they were always housed in Nassau Hall. Students who wished to reside in these theme housing communities proposed a theme, which was then approved by the then Director of Living Learning Communities. However, in the 2011-2000 academic year, Nassau Hall had a number of assigned theme communities. Some of them were cultural cooking, health science, living well, substance free. However, the students within each theme were living all over the building and did not have a team or community feel. So the old model before 2012 was you had to propose a theme, and it was approved by the Director of Living Learning Communities, but they weren't housed together. They were spread through all over Nassau Hall. And so in 2012, they hired myself, the Assistant Director of First Year in Theme Housing, to focus on the LLCs in the Theme Housing Program. So I worked with the old residence director of Nassau Hall to develop what is now the new themed living communities. So we held focus groups with the general student population. We sent out surveys to current theme housing community residents, again from the old model, to get their input on the program. And we found that there wasn't a sense of ownership or team focus for the current theme, so this program definitely needed a facelift. So the new model, which has been in effect for 1 year, we're going into our second year. It encourages community development, there's a team focus, and it really focuses on inclusion. So the two methods we also generated through the surveys and the focus groups that we did with students the topical areas that students were most interested in. And last year, those became the 6 new themes. So TLCs, theme living communities, are what we know it now. We are entering into our second year in the TLC model. They do reside on floors 4, 5, and 6 in Nassau Hall. The themes for this year are active living, visual arts, performing arts, math, science, and engineering, Zarb House, and reaching new heights. So how did they get into these? So each student had to put in an application, which was then reviewed and approved by myself and the residence instructor. And they have certain requirements. They're required to be a community leader and host programs for their fellow students and be actively engaged in their community. And we will go over what it means to be engaged and how we measure that and what their responsibilities are, more an in-person training. So they have their own selection process before homesteading. So because it's our second year, we did that process, and we have increased our participation by over 50%. So our numbers, we are 50% or so, 59 I think, to brag about a little bit, over our numbers from last year for those that wish to participate in the TLC program. So as you know, the RAs were asked to apply to be a part of a specific TLC or gauge some interest in either a TLC or an LLC. So let's talk a little bit about what is expected of you as the RA of the TLC program. So if you're returning to the TLC program, you'll see a lot of it is very similar. We did change some language about different things, but so in addition to your work assignment, your campus-wide expectations, and then the RD expectations, you will be required to do the following as a TLC RA. So you will facilitate the community leader selection process during the first floor meeting. During in-person training, I'll go over how to do that with you. And then you'll facilitate 3 TLC-specific program requirements per semester. So the first will be a community development program within the first 1 to 2 weeks of the semester, focused on bringing the community together and creating a group identity and having the residents get to know one another. So this might look like a name game, decorating a lounge, having a t-shirt contest. This requirement can also fulfill your CD active requirement, but it doesn't need to. So again, I'm not trying to make more work for you. I'm just trying to make our program's a little bit more focused, a little bit more intentional. And the reason we put that in the first 1 to 2 weeks is because we've learned that if we don't get students engaged at the beginning, we may lose them. So we really want to take that opportunity of those first 2 weeks to really get them bought in and excited about living on the TLC floor. So the other 2 programs will focus on the TLC development. So they should be fun and educational but thought-provoking. So examples, so Math Science Engineering made lava lamps last year. The pre-health, or the health science may take a tour of the medical school. Performing arts may attend a performance on campus as a group. So you will work with your community leader and your students to decide what those 2 extra programs are and how it really focuses in on their theme. And then each TLC will receive an additional $100 per semester for programming in your TLC development in addition to your regular programming money. So you'll hold monthly floor meetings to review the upcoming processes, program planning, etc. You'll track attendance at all floor meeting and programs to record resident engagement in the community. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like. And then we'll provide additional floor decorations for the specific theme to establish a theme identity for each floor, including but not limited to. You'll have a bulletin board that's slowly dedicated to your TLC. You should be decorating your lounge, hanging flyers and advertisements to explaining the theme. So we did move the lounges. If you're not familiar with Nassau Suffolk, when you get off the elevator, it is the first lounge on either your left or your right, those rooms. So hopefully them being more in a central location will help better facilitate programming development. So there will be monthly community leader and RD meetings. We will ask you to attend those. We'll have a training or retreat. There's no specific training for this semester, but we can talk about how we want to do that. And then the most important for me is that to maintain a high level of engagement and enthusiasm towards your TLC. Okay? So please make sure you wanted to be here. We want you to be here. We want to make sure that we are staying motivated and excited about what we're doing. All right. So now, you're an RA, so you're in charge, you have policy to uphold, but now you're also an advisor. And so you need to hold them responsible to their requirements. So some of you may have never been an advisor, so here's some 5 little points I'd like to make for you. So foster togetherness. So through your own program and your resident interactions, encourage and provide avenues to the floor to develop a team-oriented spirit. Facilitate instead of lead. So as an RA, you're used to leading, but being an advisor requires facilitation. So when it comes to the community leader selection process and programming parts of the TLC requirements, it's your role to guide them in those 2 areas and lead them through the process. However, remember, they are new to this, so it's important for you to stay invested and involved in those processes. So some of these students are clearly not RAs, but they may have never had a student leadership experience on campus. So we have to remember that this is going to be new to them. So we need to make sure that we are teaching as well as facilitating how to go through these processes. Ask questions. You are the devil's advocate and the person responsible for seeing the bigger picture of this community. Ask them questions to get their thoughts moving and thinking about different aspects of their community and what they're looking to achieve. So when you're brainstorming with your community leader or during a floor meeting, ask some questions, some probing questions to really find out what they're looking for their TLC experience. And then make suggestions. So asking questions is not, if it's not working or they need a little bit more push or involvement from you, it's okay to make suggestions if you feel what would be best for the group. So it allows the floor residents to still be the decision makers, but you're giving them some things to focus on. And then provide feedback. They need your feedback, both good and constructive. They need to know if they're moving in the right direction. So if you have a student that is disengaging from the community, we need to make sure that you're giving them that feedback, because they are not guaranteed to have a spot in the TLC program next year, and they certainly can't homestead their rooms for any case. So, they need to make sure that they're proving that they're active members and they want to be engaged in this community so we can, invite them back next year. So a few things to keep in mind. This program is still fairly new, so not everything will go as smoothly as we want. So as we approach bumps in the road, let's focus on moving forward and staying positive. Unfortunately, not all the TLC spots on your floor were filled, so you'll have general students that are just placed on your floor. Think about how you can engage them in your TLC. How can you challenge and encourage them to be part of the TLC experience? Importantly, if you're not supporting the TLC program, your residents will follow your lead. People feed off positive energy. Be enthusiastic even in the hard times. You are the building blocks. We are still very new, so you're the building blocks of this program still. We hope you're excited and driven to take the TLC program to the next level. So this is second year, there's still room to grow. Your feedback throughout the year will be vital as we continue to assess this program to make improvements to better serve our students. We hope that you have the knowledge of where we've been and where we're going with the TLC program, and really, I'm thrilled to have you guys on this adventure because we're in the second year. We learned a lot from the first year, but there's so much more we could do. So I'm excited to hear about what you're thinking about, what your ideas and thoughts are. So the next part of this online assignment is you'll read an article of Aston's theory of student development. He's a student development theorist, and then I'll explain a little bit more about him, but make sure you read the article first before going through the Prezi, because I'm going to touch on some stuff that the article states, and then after the Prezi, there'll be some Blackboard discussion so we can talk a little bit more and start planning for the year. All right, everyone, take care.